right, episode 20. What do you got there? Miskatonic? Is that what that says?
Tonic Adventures into the Unknown. Yes.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm
It's a
wearing the ever so popular NASA shirt today.
Very nice
Okay, I
cut.
guess that's sort of that also technically applies.
Sure.
Yeah.
So,
Killed the room already.
yeah, you did, Chuck. Good job. Have you noticed that every Lovecraft movie that is not by the Lovecraft Society
Mhm.
has a Miskatonic University shirt in it?
Oh yeah, or a Miskatonic University shirt, or some form of Miskatonic University shirt, or references the shit out of Arkham, and
Or both.
mentions 50 billion cities. Yeah.
Yeah.
Never knew it.
Well, it's because you don't pay attention to things, Chuck.
I don't
Trying to
pay
say something
attention.
about that there, W? Any
What's that?
particular anything about that you want to say, or
What, Chuck not paying attention, or?
no, the presence of the Miskatonic shirt?
Oh, no, just because you've got one on, and I pointed one out to my wife in this movie, and,
There's a lot more than one in this movie.
So, yeah, we are taking a look at, again, another 2020 film, the last one for a while, because after this, what is it, James? What are we doing?
We are doing My Amityville Nightmare.
Amityville Horror,
Basic.
partial retrospective.
Mhm.
Partial
For
retrospective.
the most part.
For now.
Yes.
Some of the good
With
ones,
all the-
some of the bad ones. The great ones
Just
are
say
still to
just say
come.
the first 8. We're doing the first 8 because it's honest.
That's true. First 8.
Well, actually, we're doing the first 8 out of 9 because we're missing one.
No, we're not. Remember?
God
we
damn it, Chuck. Where were you last week when we?
Ways.
It's
I
on
thought that was
Amazon Prime for free.
It's on
Oh.
YouTube.
I don't know. Do y'all think?
Anyway, this is the last
They were
2020
covered
film
remake
for a
of
while.
Curse.
I'll fucking kill him. I'm gonna drive to Tennessee and I'm gonna fucking strangle you.
Hey, if anybody's watching this, and I assume somebody will be watching this, okay, The Curse was based off the same source material. Keep that in mind.
Flash it up on the screen at this point, W. You know what to flash up there.
Well, we flashed it on the screen.
Again, just because they're based off the same source material doesn't mean that this is a remake of said film. Because that film is not this film. It's not The Color Out of Space.
Yes.
This is the same title as the short story.
Mhm.
Yeah. But the other was everything but the actual title.
Oh my God, we're gonna do this, aren't we?
I mean, I'm just saying, though, it's the same. Both of them are based off the same book. Except for this
Well,
one's
then,
straight up.
I guess,
straight
Chuck,
up
you could
deal.
say The Curse is a remake of The Color Out of Space by the H.P. Lovecraft Society.
You could say that. But,
But you've
obviously
never
we won't
seen
get
that.
Well, I've never seen it. We won't get too far down the rabbit hole here because, you don't want to say every Frankenstein movie was just a remake of the first Frankenstein movie.
Exactly,
Yes.
Chuck, so shut up.
Yes,
That's
Chuck,
how it goes.
is.
That's how it connects.
Yes, Chuck, The Curse is a remake of Color Out of Space. It doesn't particularly relate to this discussion, though. Other than that, it's... Because here's the thing. Okay, spoilers, after the Amityville thing, we're going to be doing another remake, another adaptation of Color Out of Space, because it's one that I've seen that I'm 90% sure neither one of them have seen. And it's on Tubi, and it's free, and it's awesome, I think. And so we'll see if I still like it, and they still like it. But that's a month or so away. But we're not going to review every single Color Out of Space adaptation, Chuck.
All right. Okay. I just want to throw that trivia out there, in case you're on trivia night and they want to know what movie not called Color Out of Space was based on Color Out of Space. We can go on. We can proceed.
May I ask, Chuck, what was Curse 2 based off of?
I don't remember a lot about Curse 2. and I've never seen Curse 3, so, I assume they were just movies that slapped that title on.
Yep. Moving on.
Dude, can we just fucking get on?
Yes,
do this.
Moving on to this one today, right? Moving on to this one.
Yes.
So, Richard Stanley directed this. Everybody loves Richard Stanley. This is Richard Stanley's, first feature-length film in 20 years, James?
No. Just saying it's not.
Here we go with this
Go to
again.
his IMDb. That's all I'm gonna say. Go to his IMDb. He's got at least an entire documentary. He's done at least a piece of Theater of the Bizarre.
Any feature-length films, though?
At least entire documentary.
Comment down below and let us know if a documentary counts or not.
You know what I'd like on Blu-ray?
I don't think Sold it counts as a feature film. I mean, that's, you know.
I'd like Dust Devil on Blu-ray.
Dust Devil. The ultimate version of Dust Devil.
I believe he mentions, point out in one of the special features on this disc, Dust Devil.
Severn's supposed to have Dust Devil, is what I heard.
He mentions it because he says, not for any spoiler or anything, he says this is the first time he's done a head explosion since Dust Devil.
Severn, I don't want them to have Dust Devil because it'll take them 19 years to make it.
Severn's probably still got hardware. They've already said they've got the rights to Theater Bizarre again, so they'll be putting out Theater Bizarre.
No, they lost hardware.
If they've got the rights to Dust Devil, it would be stupid of them to not get hardware back because no one's doing anything with it right now, is what I'm saying.
I'm trying to think, what company was that? Like, it was one of those Code Red sub-companies that put out, like, another version of hardware, right? Pretty sure it was.
I don't know. I've got it on DVD, and then I think I have a Blu-ray hard box, but it's Mark 13, like the other title.
You don't have the Severin hardware?
If it's DVD, yes.
There's a Blu-ray too.
Oh, then I don't know. Maybe I do.
It looks really nice. But I mean, the Dust Devil. The only Dust Devil I've got is the old like Echo Bridge DVD. That's like the cut version. That's like only 80 minutes long.
You don't have the like 3 or 4 disc Dust Devil?
No, I've never seen one.
One from Severn.
For
the record,
that's the only Dust Devil I have. Oh, I've got that hard box, but it's not as good looking as the other DVD that's got all 3 cuts of the film in it.
Yeah.
2013, hour and 45 minutes. Hidden deep in the south of France, practically untouched by the modern age, is a place known by many as the Zone. In this space, the supernatural is an everyday reality of life. Magic is everywhere. It is reason. It is currency. It is unquestionable fact. Prepare yourself for a journey into life on the other side of the mirror. Legendary filmmaker Richard Stanley has never been underspoken about his studies in mysticism and the occult. A trained anthropologist whose brain glows with secret knowledge and forgotten histories, Stanley has spent decades exploring the literal fantastic. He directed it. He wrote it. He was in it. It was 6 years ago.
26 years ago?
6 years ago. Anyway, I'm done. I'm not that bothered by it.
But
then
Chuck,
he talked about this for 20 years, right?
Well, Chuck, since you've seen what this movie is based on, why don't you go ahead and give us a synopsis?
I defer on that one. It's too hard to explain. I don't want to put it in my terms. I would like
hard to explain.
After a meteorite,
this is probably the easiest one we've done.
Lands in the front yard of their farm.
No, we're higher quality than that.
Nathan Gardner, played by Nicolas Cage, and his family find themselves battling a mutant extraterrestrial organism as it infects their minds and their bodies, transforming their quiet rural life into a living nightmare. Based on the classic H.P. Lovecraft story, Color Out of Space is gorgeous, vibrant, and terrifying. So says Dread Central. So yeah, basically, a meteorite hits, the food goes bad, people go crazy, bad things happen.
Tune in next week for Chuck's weight loss journey.
Yeah, okay. I need one of those. So, it's trippy. It's weird. It's Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage can play Nicolas Cage and get away with it here. Because it fits. It's also
all of Nicolas Cage's recent films have all been great.
Yeah. I mean, ever since The Wicker Man, right? He just went with it.
Wicker Man is still good. It's just a terrible adaptation or remake of The Wicker Man. Taken on its own, it's entertaining as shit, and how horrible it is.
I just remember him hollering about the bees.
But do you remember him punching a bear?
he punched a woman, did he?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. That was a weird movie. I don't own that movie.
Won't bring back your damn honey.
That's true. I don't own that, but I do own this. And I do like the cast. Like I said, I like the cast. I like the way this looks. If you have 4K capabilities, I recommend it because it does look nice. But just like in the movie The Curse, a meteorite hits and the food goes bad and people go crazy.
For the record, it's because it just hit Shudder for 61 Days of Halloween. So it is also free streaming once you've paid for your Shudder subscription.
Or you can get one of these deals that's got these 30-day trials on it and see it for free.
Yeah. The Blu-ray, I've got the Blu-ray, but I bought it when it first came out. I didn't have a 4K player. Blu-ray is about $10 right now on Amazon. I'll link it below in the description, and the 4K is like $12. So
they have the same special features as well.
Go to Walmart. It's there, I promise you. Or at least all these RLJE Blu-rays, for some reason. Now, this used to be Image Entertainment. Now they're RLJE Entertainment. All of their 4Ks are really cheap. I don't know why. Arizona's like $7. You know, and Arizona's great, by the way, if you haven't seen it. Three from Hell is like $12. That's like the highest one. I imagine this is probably in the $12 area.
It's $12
there. But why are their 4Ks so cheap? Can somebody clue me into that? Like, why is, I mean, their movies are good, but they're also the cheaper ones for some reason.
Don't know.
Have you watched or compared the 4K to the Blu-ray to your knowledge?
No, I don't do that.
That might be the reason why, because I'll be honest, I can't speak to whether it's better or worse than this, but I will say the Blu-ray looks fantastic too. So if the 4K doesn't look immeasurably better than the Blu-ray, that could partially be.
The first time I watched this, I watched it in a Blu-ray player. When I watched it again, it was upscaled in my 4K player, and I could tell a difference.
Then there you go.
Although
it's the fact that it's an indie movie, Chuck. That's why
it doesn't advertise HDR. That could be a problem. Maybe you don't have any high dynamic range.
HDR is 1080p.
What? Now wait. No. I've seen people like, you ever see like all the Warner Brother ones, like the Goonies and stuff, say have HDR stickers on it, high dynamic range, and people claim that makes a big difference in 4Ks.
I don't know.
Well, we obviously are out of our area with this, but back to the movie, shall we?
We're going to stick with that plot synopsis stuff, or you want to try it again?
That synopsis is the accurate synopsis. I mean, it's just like I've read it straight off the back, and then I give you the layman's term version, which is a meteor hits, weird things happen, food goes bad, people go crazy.
Just check.
Chong is in the movie.
Tommy Chong is in the movie. So we got a family of 5. They move back to Nick Cage's dad's farm. Awesome, giant, enormous house. Essentially in the woods in the middle of nowhere. I didn't get they're somewhere in New England.
Yeah, because
they're in Arkham, right?
Yeah, they mention they're near Arkham or in Arkham. They mention Arkham a million times, and I think there's some other place they mention too. Innsmouth, I think, gets mentioned once. Yeah.
So you've got teenage son who is a pothead, teenage daughter who is she's a Wiccan, and and she's angsty. She looks a lot younger than she really is. And then there's a little boy, Jack, who's probably 8 or 9 years old. The mom,
alpacas.
They've got alpacas. The mom has cancer. And so when we first meet the daughter, she's actually trying to do like a ritual to try to clear her mother of her cancer. And at that same time, we meet a grad student who is I don't know what the fuck he said his job was. I don't remember. Hydrologist?
He's a hydrologist.
Yeah. So he's there checking the water, and he's got his Miskatonic University shirt on. I don't remember his name, but Ward. I keep saying I don't remember things, and then I instantly remember them. That's interesting. So yeah, his name's Ward. I don't know any of their other names, though, except for Jack. Yeah. So this meteor hits in the middle of the night, like the very first night of the movie, and it brings out this pinkish hue. And when they're trying to describe it, they call it a pink, they call it a purple, and then they're like, it's really not a color I've ever seen before. And you'll notice little flowers and things. Yes, Chuck, thank you.
Yeah, I'll let them know.
And these little pink flowers start sprouting up everywhere, and things start changing, attitudes start changing.
Animals start kind of adjusting.
Correct.
Slightly, so to speak.
Like his Nick Cage's garden Everything's growing at an exponential rate, and they're ripening up before they're supposed to be, but they're still rotten. Tommy Chong is a squatter who lives in a greenhouse on the property.
As the special features say, he's basically playing Tommy Chong.
He really is.
And not in a bad way. He's fantastic, but
he's great.
Playing himself.
He looks horrible.
Yes, he does.
He looks horrible.
Well, he survived, cancer in real life, so.
No, I did not know
I'm
that.
not saying a bad. It's just they go out of their way, even in the 20-minute feature on here, to say he's basically playing himself. He's great, but he's playing himself.
He's got a cat named G-Spot.
Of course. You want to finish the joke or what?
No, I don't.
No. Yeah, me either.
Can't give it all away.
Yep.
So yeah, like lots of strange things start happening. Everyone starts acting differently. Nick Cage goes through a wide range of emotions and different acting abilities, where at some points he's acting like an A-list actor, and then other times he's just Nick Cage.
He goes through several layers of Nick Cage.
Yes, they're very gradations.
When he starts ranting about the alpacas and whatnot throughout the movie.
When he starts singing opera in the middle of a sequence for no reason.
I don't think I remember that one.
Oh, that was my least favorite one. It was where there was something happened at the house. Cut to him driving the mom back from the hospital, and he's just singing opera in the car.
Yeah, okay.
I have a feeling he had a lot of creative freedom during this movie. Richard Stanley, who's a nut himself, was just like, just be you.
I don't think you can call Richard Stanley a nut. I think he's just far superior than we are. Like intellectually superior.
He is a loon, brother. Okay.
According to I disagree.
He's a smart
in the special
loon,
feature, he says that Nicolas Cage gave him his faith back in the studio system, told him that there are actors who are magnanimous and giving of themselves. So apparently he loved Nick Cage for this role, and Nick Cage, was all over the role. But yeah, apparently Richard Stanley just took to him like kindred spirit, basically.
Because they're peas in a pod. Okay. Now.
Well, I want to say that I've read Nicolas Cage has like an extremely high IQ as well.
Oh, he does. Absolutely.
Bro, okay, look here. I'm not saying they're dumb. All right. I'm not saying they're crazy. I'm saying they're crazy. But I'm saying they're not smart being crazy. Because you can go and listen to Richard Stanley on all these Shockwave podcasts he did. Go listen to him talk in his Lost Souls documentary. The man may be intelligent, but he does not have all the floors on the tower. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just starts ranting about these things that makes no sense. Well, I went and sat on an apple seed for 3 days and the kinetic abilities infuriated my brain and told me that all was going to be okay in the world. I mean, that's how the man talks.
It's at this point that I'd like to point out that he wrote this movie.
It's paraphrasing. Paraphrasing. I say, this is what happens when you legalize pot, by the way.
Him and someone named Scarlett Amaris.
Carry on, as you're saying, though. Nicolas Cage, multi-layers of Nicolas Cage, alpacas. Personalities change.
So, yeah, basically, personalities start changing. Everything starts going worse and worse, and it kind of affects them in different ways and at different speeds. Hits some of them harder than others, some of them faster than others. Because it's a good Lovecraft adaptation, there's a logical explanation and an illogical explanation for what's happening. I'm not going to go any further than that.
It's somewhat similar to the logical explanation for the witch.
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah. In the special features, they talk about how, because this was done by the same producing group. It's got Elijah Woods in the producing group, and I forget the other movie they did. This producing group, because they just said they decided they wanted to do, a horror movie that was different. And then they found that Richard Stanley had this adaptation he's been sitting on that he'd written for God knows how long of Color Out of Space. Had to track him down in the middle of France, convince him to come out and do the movie. And then they had also talked about the fact that in this, there's a lot of CGI and practical. But
both, for sure.
Because even if it was a documentary he did in which he hasn't done something with like effects in this way since back then. At least a feature length. He has no experience with the level of like tech that is out there. So you had to kind of figure that all out too.
Well, they did a good job because it's the CGI. Some of it looks good, some of it's a little corny, but it's not bad.
Yeah,
it fits. It fits like with the source material. But like you talk about him having this script. He's had this movie basically. Well, he's been wanting to do this thing for years, right? Since like when I first got into doing this stuff, like they were talking about that's the movie he wanted to do, and that was like 2009.
Well, what he says in special feature is he's got a plan in his head for a trilogy. He said he wants to do that. He did this, and he said his next movie he wants to do in the trilogy, he wants to do an adaptation of Dunwich Horror.
A good Dunwich Horror? I'm all for it.
Yeah. So that's they go out of their way to yeah.
Because there's not a good one.
Okay, well, give me some source on that. What is that?
It's a Lovecraft story.
Yeah, but what's the plot? There
is a really, I want to say Anchor Bay released it.
Scream Factory actually released it.
No, well, maybe long before Scream.
Old school one.
Long before Scream Factory was a thing.
I'm saying, are you referring to the one that MGM used to put out on one of their 2-packs?
Yes.
Yeah, Scream Factory got the rights to that version, and they put it out with something else. I can't remember what it was.
What's it called?
But it's called Dunwich Horror. But the thing is, from what I've read, it's not actually the Dunwich Horror. It's a mix of 2 movies or 2 stories, I think, or something like that. Yeah, they did a 2-pack. You've probably got it, Chuck. It's Murders in the Rue Morgue, Murders in the Rue Morgue, and Dunwich Horror.
Midnight Movies, the MGM. That's what it was.
Yeah, and then
you guys are saying. See, I'll tell you where we had a problem here, because you're saying the Dunwich Horror, and the way you guys were pronouncing it, it sounded like you guys were talking French, saying like Dunwich or something like that. Is how I interpreted it. I thought you was like, oh, they're doing Dunwich. Well, like, what is Dunwich? Oh, the Dunwich Horror. Okay.
Yes.
Now we know. There was a problem there. I can't help it. I couldn't hear you guys properly on that. But there was an indie version of that movie, too.
Oh, there's a indie version of all H.P. Lovecraft movies.
This wasn't done bad. This was done by the guy that did, like, what was that called? The exploitation movie about the killer nun. He is the same guy. Like, he was a Griffith, I think was his last name.
Yeah.
Yeah, Richard Griffith, maybe?
Oh, yeah, he's done tons of stuff like this.
Yeah, he did one that was okay.
But yeah, that's what he wants to do next. He's got, I don't know what his third part of the plan is, but they mentioned it in the special features that he wants to do Dunwich Horror next.
Mm-hmm.
I would like it to be The Mountains of Madness.
I would not, only because I want someone to give Guillermo del Toro his goddamn money and let him make his goddamn movie. I just want him to I know, but I'm just saying, if anybody I know would do it, I'm not saying he wouldn't do it well. He would. But for God's sakes, he's wanted to do it forever, you know?
Listen, Del Toro's never, ever going... Even if Del Toro had the money, he's not going to make it. He's never going to make it. Never. He's never, ever going to make it. Del Toro just says, oh, I want to make this movie because he knows it's going to, like, fucking pop. And it's never, ever going to fucking happen.
Can't tell me that, because I've got his book of the stuff from his notebooks. So I've got, like, his drawings and his quotes and his writings about how much he wants to make it and how long he's want to make it and stuff. He says it because he legitimately wants to do it. Does he also say it because it's going to pop? Sure. But he does want to make it. Just like he said he wanted to make a Frankenstein film. Never going to happen.
Are you saying he's like Tarantino? He just throws a bunch of stuff out there and it never happens? Is there a good Cthulhu movie, by the way?
Yeah, they call it Cthulhu by the H.P. Lovecraft Society.
That's about
what is it? Wait, is this a series of movies?
It's
a legitimate company. It's a H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society.
I've never even heard of them.
And they made a black and white movie. Probably 20 years ago. And it's very, very good.
You know, I know you're way more up on this Lovecraft stuff than I am, although I'm a fan of Lovecraft, or at least the adaptations of his work. Now, did he really write a book called the Necronomicon?
No.
No.
So there is not a real Necronomicon, because I've been looking for a Necronomicon book for 30 years, okay?
There is a Necronomicon book, and it's actually in this movie.
Write it.
You can go to your local bookstore and order it.
But it wasn't written by Lovecraft.
No.
Okay. Well, all right.
But yeah, just to be clear, they've done Call of Cthulhu. You can buy it from their store.hplhs.org for the low price of $20. They've also done Whisper in the Darkness,
which is great.
They've got radio adaptations, Defarb, Testimony of Randolph Carter. It'd be nice if it just let me pick DVDs. But what they used to do was they would also do short stories. Short films. They would have a whole bunch of people make adaptations of a specific short film and then release them in a compilation. So I know they did one for Pickman's Model. Trying to remember some of the other ones. But basically in the sets you get like 4, 5, 6 short film adaptations of it done by different people.
I want to see Richard Stanley do, is it called Rats in the Walls?
Dreams in the Witch House, I would assume. Because that's, I mean, I would assume that's what it's called, because that's, at least in part, at least a piece of the Stuart Gordon adaptation they did on Masters of Horror, which was really good.
So, I
don't know if it's exactly that. I think it's part of it, but it's not like all of it.
It's definitely not called Dreams in a Witch House. At least this story is not.
Right, yeah.
But it's like super elaborate. Group of people, they keep hearing noise in the walls, think it's rats. They find a secret passageway in this this castle kind of thing that they're living in, and it literally takes them into an underground city.
Interesting. Just so you know, they also have Cool Air. That was another one they did a compilation of for a while, but now they have just a Cool Air movie. And then they also have
that
box set of 2016, 2017, and 2018 H.P. Lovecraft Film Festival DVDs, plus a 2018 solo one and a 2019 solo best of DVD. And it collects all the short films they can find, basically.
I know I did have the Cool Air DVD. Was that them?
Might have been.
Yeah, it was released by MVD, though. But I don't know if I still have it or not. But I did have it. And it seemed like it was okay when I did watch it.
So let's drift our way back over to Color Out of Space. Since I think we could spend probably the rest of the show talking about Lovecraft stuff in general. So
sure.
But no, I really, really like it because I was telling my wife earlier, if you want to talk about Lovecraft adaptations, I love Reanimator to death, but Reanimator is a comedy. You know, it's... Sure, Herbert West has read Reanimator on audiobook, you know, the actual story and stuff, and you can hear the actual thing, and it's great. Reanimator is a adaptation. It's not 100% faithful, though, because he's going goofy and comedic. What's From Beyond adaptation of, if you recall? I feel like there's another name, but it's something else that's also a bit of a Lovecraft adaptation, and again, there's a bit of comedy to it. It's a bit different. It's a bit strange. Like, this is probably the most, I'd say, accurate I've seen that got a wider release.
How do you feel about Dagon, or Dagon, or whatever it's called?
Dagon is my absolute favorite. And that's not the first time I've seen it. It's fairly accurate.
As I say, I haven't watched my copy of Dagon yet, so.
I mean, there's liberties, taken.
Yeah, it seems really very much like he went direct for the source material, and it shows, and it's good in that way. Because a lot of Lovecraft adaptations probably don't want to do the thing that this does. Not to spoil anything or anything, but a lot of Lovecraft stories have a lot of bleakness, a lot of nihilism.
From Beyond is the same name.
Oh, okay. I think I'm thinking of Dagon, because Dagon's about Dagon. There's other pieces added into it, basically. Something like that. Anyway.
Also, Necronomicon, Book of the Dead.
Yeah.
Is phenomenal. I love it. Where Combs actually plays H.P. Lovecraft.
Yep.
And he's going to read and study the Necronomicon, and as he's copying down the stories in the Necronomicon, you live out the stories. Good stuff.
I've not seen that one.
It's not available, I don't think, on DVD yet. I have a bootleg of it.
It was
yours,
Brian Usna.
Yeah.
Oh, the old Society guy, right?
Yep.
Yes.
The guy you call when you want to make a Reanimator movie and Stuart Gordon's not available.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm okay with it because.
Oh, I like Bryden. I like.
Minus the recast, right? Of what's her name? Barbara Crampton.
Yeah.
We met Brian Usna. I want to say it was right after that nice Society Blu-ray came out. Was that from Arrow?
Arrow.
He was at a convention. I know Dan's Commander would know what it was off the top of his head because he remembers all that shit. I don't. But my wife and I talked to him, and we just sat and talked, and he's like, "Oh, did you want me to sign something?" I'm like, "Shit, yeah, I totally forgot." And I pulled my hard box of Necronomicon out of my bag, and he was like, "What the fuck is this?" I was like, "That's your movie." He's like, "I've never signed a copy of this before."
To the wonderful world of hard boxes.
He's like, "I've never signed a copy of this movie before." And it was only released in the United States on VHS, I think.
Yeah, and it's one of those ones that really surprised me that no one ever gets hold of it.
But I've got a French Blu-ray, and then I've got this German, Austrian, whatever, hardbox Blu-ray, and he signed it, and we talked about it, and we literally talked about it for like an additional 20 minutes just talking about that movie.
Mm-hmm. Who was the guy that time that am I getting my stories mixed up? Like, went in our movie, you showed a director a movie one time, he didn't want to sign it because it was illegally released.
Jeff Lieberman, wasn't
Jeff Lieberman, yeah.
Yeah, what movie was that?
To the podcast, Chuck.
I'm trying to think, like, which movie was that again?
God.
I think I smoothed it over with him because at the time I also bought remote control directly from him.
Correct, yeah. Yeah.
But because Eli and I both had Lieberman hard boxes to sign, and I don't remember which one I took, but we had like different movies, and he's like, "Well, I don't care about this one. I don't have the rights to that, but I've got the rights to this movie."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, there's the name of it. I mean, you can't have this." Like I spent like $50 on this thing.
What he wanted to keep?
He wanted to look at it, get him.
He kept a hold of it like pretty tight to him, and I'm like, "You're not keeping that. Like as much as I love you, I can take you."
Oh wow, good old convention days.
Yeah, we'll come back to that discussion. Yeah. Convention days, that is. But yeah, it's really got fantastic special effects, physical and practical, or physical and computer. The acting is pretty much universally solid. Like, even though Tommy Chong's basically playing himself, it works in the movie.
For what his character is supposed to be, absolutely.
Yes.
And not just a burnout. I mean,
no. A burnout with a vision to the future and the greater plan of the world. No, it's and the thing also that I liked about it is, as you listen to the script, every so often a character you wouldn't expect says something that feels like it would come out of a Lovecraft story. Like, somebody will say something about how, like, and I'm not talking about Tommy Chong's character, like the son or the daughter will say something about how, like, things aren't right. It's physics and math, and I'm like, yeah, that's Lovecraft. That's about as accurate as you can get if you're going to write a Lovecraft story. Adaptation, I mean.
And I mean, this movie like really has like a couple of cringe scenes in it. Like, you know something is going to happen, and it's like, bam, it's right.
The first one's so good.
Right there in front of your face, and you're like, fuck, it's going to happen, it doesn't happen. Fuck, it's going to happen, it doesn't happen. My wife was like, just let me know when it happens.
First one is so good.
At that point towards the end of it, when two things come together, and there's just the noise over and over, and man.
The special features talk about how they did stuff like that, and the actress talks about. There's a great moment in the special feature, she says she's been doing a whole bunch of stuff throughout the whole movie, but when she was doing that and in that setup, that was the only time Richard Stanley came up to her and told her that she looked beautiful.
So I didn't even notice until my second viewing of this, which was last night. I don't know if you watched the show Nip Tuck on FX. It was on like in our college days.
My wife watched some of it. I never watched
So
it.
Morgan and I, we were dating at the time, and we would watch it like every whatever night it was when I got off work. But she was one of the stars on the show. I've never seen her in anything else. But last night I was like, she was in that fucking Nip Tuck show.
Yeah, she was. But I did not recognize her from that either. I used to watch that back in the day too, but that had been years ago. Way long time.
How alert were you to the fact that there's a lot of stuff in the background? Like, for example, let's just go with in the attic during particular scenes. When you see the window, it's like a triangle window with a line through the center, very like arcane symbol kind of thing.
Didn't notice that.
That's there, and also the sequence where she's doing a ritual, and there's definitely a lot of symbols elsewhere in terms of like you can see arcane symbols and stuff. He was definitely kind of
the lights at night, because the farmhouse, it had 4 lights across the bottom and then I think 2 or 3 across the top, and they made some symbols that reminded me of the Dagon.
Yeah, so say there's a lot of like visual stuff that if you're paying attention, you kind of catch it before it hits.
Mm-hmm. No, the practical effects were absolutely fantastic in this. And Nicolas Cage, like we talked about him, different roles, like as he's going, because obviously they're wealthy people, but she's some kind of like stockbroker or some shit. But he seems to maybe have been retired and has a pretty good job, whatever, or had a good job. And he goes from being like sophisticated to ever slightly, little crazy, and then straight up to almost psychotic once everything starts happening.
The other thing is when he does change, like his accent even changes. It's like really weird.
He does throw an accent out every once in a while. Of course, I don't know. Like, it was messing with Morgan, because this is the first time she watched it, and like when he keeps making a big deal that him and his wife had sex for the first time since she had her breasts removed. And he even tells the mayor this, like, because this meteorite hit. And when he is like kissing her neck and kind of dirty talking her and all this, my wife was literally gagging because it's Nicolas Cage.
Well, I mean, apparently in this movie he has a fixation on them, because he's also talking about how you can appropriately milk your alpaca.
Yeah.
He gets that one out and the son goes, "Oh, good one, Dad." So it's definitely got some comedy in it. Everything with the alpacas is funny.
It knows when to stop them, though, kind of thing. It like kind of cuts it after a certain point, basically, in that regard.
Yeah, it's not like when we were talking about Reanimator as a comedy where things carry on for 5 and 10 minutes. This is very brief, like intermittent comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like I said, it's Nicolas Cage, just as you mentioned, going different levels of Nicolas Cage. By the end of the movie, I would almost say he's up to the what's that vampire movie he was in level?
Vampire Skins.
It's just like as he gets more, I guess, evil, is that you could say, or whatever you want to say. I don't know how you describe his descent into madness in this, but it gets pretty rough there towards the end of it. And I like Nicolas Cage, but by the end of it, you definitely don't like him at all. And I thought like the stuff with the wife and stuff was kind of, it's kind of like sad moments in this movie. It got very bleak in portions of this movie, I thought, which maybe why it works.
It's how Lovecraft should be in that regard.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also Richard Stanley, so.
That's true.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, it's got its funny moments, but it's also got its more serious moments too, and it gets pretty dark pretty quick in some areas. So But I did like it though, and like as you guys sound, you guys are more familiar with Lovecraft than I am. Sounds like it's definitely more in line of how that's supposed to be with the doom and gloom. And then it also has just like real trippiness to it. Which you like trippy movies, you'll like it. And I do like the visuals, especially near the end when things are just full blown out with color and stuff. You know, it's visually appealing, so it's really good. And I hope this is what Richard Stanley wanted, because this movie got hyped up for years, and I think it delivered for the most part.
Especially for your basically say he's just endlessly happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about how like, the cinematographer. He talks about how the camera operator, he's like in love with him. He's never seen someone work like the Steadicam a particular way and stuff. And you know, so like he's endlessly happy with this, I think.
Well, because the last major motion picture that he was supposed to work on, was Island of Dr. Monroe.
Yeah.
Which is the reason we have that documentary.
Everybody should buy Lost Soul.
Yeah, that dude. That's the fact he managed to sneak back on the set in that, and is probably actually in the final cut somewhere, right?
Because how would you know what animal running around is not supposed to be there?
Yeah, so the dude's a character, very very interesting character. Of course, everything he makes is, good stuff. I mean, I've not seen anything that sucked by him yet.
I will say Theater Bizarre. He does a It's kind of, I don't know if either of you've watched Theater Bizarre.
I've got
Eli and I reviewed it.
Yeah, you
I
remember
bought the DVD of this when it came out, and I remember it got all this hype when it came out, and I bought it and I watched it. And I don't remember being blown away by it.
It's good. It's not great.
And of course now it seems to be getting more steam again.
Mostly because basically after it came out on DVD, it kind of vanished completely almost immediately. Like I got it on DVD, but then for some reason it just poof went away. But he does the first piece in it. He does Mother of Toads. So I liked Mother of Toads, but it's also something that definitely like you could see he was kind of working out what he wanted to do with it. But it's still decent. But yeah, this seems definitely much more like he made what he wanted to make.
I haven't seen.
Oh.
Never mind. Continue.
Okay, we're good.
I haven't seen Theater Bizarre since I saw it the one time, like 2010 or whenever it was released.
Yeah.
And that was it. I watched it the one time we reviewed it.
Was it even on Blu-ray then?
No. It was literally just straight DVD.
Because I remember getting it at Walmart like the day it came out.
And we've mentioned it on here a couple of times in a couple of different shows, and I've tried to like link it below, and it's unavailable.
Yeah, Yeah, the only way you're going to get it is Severin supposedly has the rights back to it. They're working on a Blu-ray of it, so I would expect within this year or next they'll release Theater Bizarre because they put up most of the money for it. So it is basically their movie.
I didn't know that.
But yeah, we last time we mentioned it was because the cinematographer was the same person who did the segment in that about the junkie in the alley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same person.
I need to go back and revisit it because it's been a decade since I've seen it, so I don't know. No, like I said though, it's good. It's on Shudder now. Does Shudder help produce this? Like
Shudder is calling it a original.
Okay, all right. So
I thought they were calling this an exclusive.
Who knows?
Let's check it. Let us check the famed Shudder semantics.
Is Elijah Wood in good with Shudder? Is that what we need to take from this?
I mean,
maybe he's got some stake in it.
This also, for the record, has the trailer at the beginning of the Blu-ray for the other Shudder exclusive, not original exclusive, Mandy. So, which I'm pretty sure is because Nicolas Cage, also because Shudder.
Yeah.
I think this is a Shudder exclusive.
Yeah, I mean that tends to be
Shudder. Really,
Shudder exclusive according to the synopsis.
This whole year, as far as horror goes, is pretty well in the hands of Shudder, if you think about it. Because what else has really happened after the stuff hit the fan in the early part of the year? All the new stuff and stuff we're talking about is Shudder, related.
Yeah, we'll be getting to that in the news, but yeah, stuff keeps getting,
and all their stuff gets Blu-ray releases, because all their documentaries, like the Curse films, got a Blu-ray release recently. I'm getting Eli Roth's History of Horror this week or next week on Blu-ray. It's just all that stuff's just it's on Blu-ray now. It's like it's all Shudder.
You don't have to tell us how you really feel, James, because your face did it for you.
Look, I trust a great many people with an opinion on horror and the history of horror. Eli Roth is not on that list.
I'm guessing like anybody else they wanted might not have been available.
Oh, sure. I got the idea. It's just not my thing.
It being Shudder, I'm really surprised it wasn't like Adam Green's History of Horror.
Holliston is also on Shudder, by the way, at the moment. Speaking of, but anyway,
they were doing season 3 of that.
Are they?
People are apparently in the comments. That's what everyone wants. Everyone wants Shudder to fund.
I don't think I watched season 2.
It's been too long. Like you can't just continue for it left off. You'll have to fast forward if you do it. The old Twin Peaks method.
Overall, though, it's stellar. My one real issue with it is I love Nicolas Cage to death, but I mentioned that opera scene for a reason. It's because it's one of the times, there's a few of them in the movie, where him being Nicolas Cage took me so off guard and so whiplash that took me out for a second. So beyond that, I mean, it's really, really well done. Highly, highly recommended. Probably definitely one of the best bigger budget, major independent Lovecraft adaptations that's been made. 4 for me.
I go with the 4 as well.
All Good three stuff. Of us gave it a 4.
Bleak, dark, and visually appealing, with a little comedic twist to it. Overall, better than the original Cursed. It's way better than the original. It's a joke.
Just so you know, Chuck Circuit, that pull quote you just accidentally did is much better than the ones they put on the back of the Blu-ray.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Or you said visually dark and such, yes.
Yeah.
I really liked it. Like I said, I've never seen the Curse that Chuck keeps referring to, but I very much
put it out on Blu-ray in a 2-pack, just so you know. I think they lost the rights though.
I feel like you have that movie, Beard. I feel like you have.
There was also a DVD 2-pack the same way.
After I sung the praise of that years ago, because I got the VHS tape of it originally and watched it, and I was like, "You gotta see the Curse." I'm pretty sure you saw it and didn't like it. Yeah, I think it's one of the movies you watched and you text me while he's watching. It's like, so when's this get good?
I don't think that's accurate. But anyway, what I was going to say is that I do like this more than the Lovecraft Historical Society's film. Of course, though, when you're looking at it, they have a micro budget compared to what was used here. As most of their films, everything is practical. There's really no CGI in the Historical Society's films. Of course, that one did have some, but I want to say that it was actually in black and white. And until things started changing, there was no color in the film.
This
is great.
That's a good idea.
I want to say that's what happened, but it's been a very, very long time since I've watched it. But yeah, I don't think I've seen The Curse, Chuck.
I don't know.
On the off chance we eventually review it, I'm not going to go too deep into my thoughts on it, but about 10 years ago, Ivan Zuckin, director, got Debbie Rochon and a few other people together and made the color from space, I believe they called it. Sorry, Color from the Dark, they called it. And it was basically an adaptation of it, but they kind of took away the meteor and made it a little different. But it's basically still a similar kind of story. I can't say what I like more because I kind of respect that one for its lower budget and what they're able to do, but this one just does so much right. But they're both really good adaptations. I can't say which one's better myself on that. But we might review that in the future, so who knows on that.
Yeah, like I said, I really enjoyed it.
We're doing the Amityville movies.
Yes, we are.
Way in the future, Chuck, like a month and a half or 2 in the future.
But yeah, I liked just about every aspect of it. The visuals were great. The darkness of the film was very good. It didn't go too dark. It wasn't too comedic. Nicolas Cage was stellar, as he has been in his past few performances. And on all honesty, like Mandy and what was the other big one that he was? Came after.
It wasn't Pay the Ghost, was it?
No, it was right after Mandy.
I was gonna say you're talking successful things, because I personally like Drive Angry quite a bit. But,
Oh, Drive Angry is great. That's like when Nicolas Cage's whole career turned around again.
Yeah, bombed in the theaters, but I saw that sucker in theaters 3D, mothers.
Same, but it was something recent that Nick Cage was in that was really good.
I didn't hate Mandy, but I think we could have sped that up a little bit.
Yes. Chuck, and I have to apologize to you. I apparently have seen The Curse because Amazon tells me that I bought it February 27th of 2016.
Which also shows how you've forgotten.
Okay, the movies he's done is a movie called Primal, which looks like he's in the woods. The Score to Settle, Between Worlds, 211, Looking Glass, Mandy.
Had a bit in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which they mentioned in the
Mom and Dad, maybe.
That one, yeah. That one was I really need to see that one with him and Selma Blair.
Mom and Dad was pretty good. It's on Hulu.
That don't help me any. But anyway.
But yeah, I mean, Mandy. The director Mandy? What else did he do? What was his other movie? Because they're both very similar in style.
It's what's his name? Beyond the Black Rainbow.
Now, see, I like Beyond the Black Rainbow.
Now he wrote that. Let me check and see if he also directed it. I think
I like Beyond the Black Rainbow better than I did Mandy.
Panos Cosmatos.
Yep. Yeah, wrote and directed both Mandy and Beyond the Black Rainbow.
I need to rewatch Beyond the Black Rainbow because
I can go the rest of my life without ever seeing it again.
Really?
Although the score was good.
I remember that review.
The score is great, like in all of his movies, and Mandy's is so strange. Like, I don't know if Mandy takes place in the future, if it takes place on another planet. I don't know because it's just so strange, But I like the way it looks. I just wish it would have, just cut. The edit button is not always the enemy,
So real quick, since we're on the subject of Shudder and the fact that this is on Shudder, leading into the news a little bit, Shudder did start their September 2020 begins their 61 days of Halloween. So over the next 2 months, among other things, they've added second season of Nosferatu, the Shudder original Spiral, not to be confused with the Saw reboot.
Or the old sequel to The Ring, right?
Or the independent movie with Joel David Moore in it.
Adam Green directed that.
Yep.
It was good.
I bought that, but I've never watched it.
Same here. I bought it too because it's supposed to be really good. I haven't watched it yet.
It's very good.
Shudder exclusive Veronica. Please don't make me do that.
We got to do that one. We got to do Veronica.
You are the one that said you wanted to do it on this show.
I said I would do it if you made me.
We've got to do Veronica.
I want to watch it.
To be done.
We can do Veronica instead of be on Shudder starting.
Listen, I fucking love Danzig. I have to watch it, but I know it's not going to be good.
Of this. You may not love him after you see this movie.
Yeah, I've heard horrible things about Veronica.
I'll still love him because Misfits A is in my top 5 favorite bands of all time, and Danzig 2 is one of my favorite metal albums of all time. So
this is the cast made up of porn stars that are porn acting pretty much. Very weird visuals. I mean, I don't know. You just got to see it.
I can't wait.
And then October is going to have the Shudder original Scare Me, a bunch of Vincent Price movies will get added in as part of their Vincent Price collection. The Gulag's coming back, and then a Shudder original called The Cleansing Hour, a Shudder original called The Mortuary Collection, Shudder exclusive 32 Malasana Street, Joe Bob's working title Halloween 2020 special, October 23rd. Timo Tihanto's May the Devil Take You To, a Shudder original, and Halloween Hotline every Friday in October as the head curator of Shudder adds a whole bunch of movies talks about movies you should be watching. And finally, of course, if you do enjoy Call Out of Space, on September 2nd, they also added Lost Soul, The Doomed Journey of Richard Stanley's Island of Dr. Moreau to Shudder as well.
Watch that. If you don't watch anything else, watch that. Especially if you watch this show and you have liked anything Richard Stanley has done.
I got an email that Scare Package is coming to Blu-ray from Shudder. So all that Shudder stuff just keeps pouring on the Blu-ray.
And they're hyping up The Shed right now.
Yes, they are. Mm-hmm.
The Shed. Like The Shed that's already out on Blu-ray? The Shed?
It just got run on Shudder like last month.
Well,
or like last week.
I have it, but I've not watched it. If it's The Shed I'm thinking of. I hear it's really good. I need to watch it. Like, it's something I definitely need to watch.
It almost seems like a comedy.
It's got like something to do with like a gay vampire. Or am I wrong on this?
I'm pretty sure you're wrong because it's supposed to involve like some kind of monster inside of a shed.
Okay, well, see, I thought there was a vampire in the shed.
I could be wrong. I'm going by the
trailer. I could have sworn someone said somebody was gay. But,
if it is a vampire in the shed, his arms bust through the shed door in the trailer in the daylight.
Well, there's more than one Shed movie, I
think. That much is certain, yes.
Well, I'm just saying. There's different movies called The Shed. The Shed that just came out on Blu-ray this year is the one I'm thinking of. It was a 2019 film. Have I watched it? No, I've got it though, and I've heard people talk about different things about it. I can pull this up here. A teen and his best friend endure nonstop torment from bullies at school, but that soon changes when one discovers a bloodthirsty creature that lives in the country shed. Okay, it's a bloodthirsty creature, so maybe it's not a vampire.
It's a murderous vampire. Yeah, they're calling it a Shudder exclusive. Yeah, they just took it in and they're promoting the shit out of it on mid-roll ads and things like that.
That Blu-ray's been out for a while now.
Because I was thinking about doing that on here as one of our 2020 films, but it was not a 2020 film.
Well, it was made
in 2019. This technically isn't one, but that's only because it played festivals first. It's 2020 on Blu-ray, and that is.
I mean, if it wasn't a wide release, I'd count it this year.
It's
festivals can't count. Festivals.
I agree.
Well, was the Shed play anywhere besides someone's backyard in 2019?
Chuck, did the DVD Blu-ray come out in 2019?
I think it came out this year, early this year. I can tell you though. I can tell you right here in a minute.
I don't really care that much.
You can go ahead and say something to fill up the dead air here.
Fill up the dead air.
It came out January the 7th.
Literally as close to being a 2019 movie as it possibly could be without being a 2019 movie.
Yeah. So, it counts.
I definitely want to watch it, and at some point, just because we're on the Shudder thing, we gotta fucking review Boar. Holy fucking shit, that movie's so good.
Of course.
Holy shit. Like, when I was thinking of films to review when I was pitching this to you guys, that was one of the first movies on my list. More so because I had just watched it, but...
Yes, I remember.
I have not seen an awful, Shudder movie yet. Like, one that's got Shudder's name on it. I've not seen an awful one yet. And I think,
what about Scare Package?
I've not watched it yet. But they must be fond of it, considering the fact it's getting a Blu-ray release all of a sudden.
Well, it also stars Joe Bob Briggs.
I'd say they're definitely fond of it because Joe Bob did it on the show, too. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't watched that episode yet. Speaking of Joe Bob, have they got up just the segments?
No. Only on Cannibal.
Is that not coming?
They say it's coming. That's it.
How hard is it?
I agree. If you're able to do Cannibal Holocaust right after it airs, you should be able to do all of them right after now, you know?
Yeah. I wish I just want the Joe Bob segments because I don't always want to sit through all this stuff again, you know. And it ain't like WWE Network where you got, markers saying Joe Bob starts here, Joe Bob starts here, you know. Are we on the news now?
Yes, we are on to news.
Convention rant 2020 coming up.
I want to start talking, actually, not about that. It's a different kind of rant. I want to talk about Tenet for a second.
Okay.
All I got to say is we can't go too crazy on the news because we're an hour in.
I'm not planning to. With Tenet, they shouldn't have opened it. They shouldn't have opened it in theaters. They just shouldn't have friggin' opened it in theaters. It opened in theaters. It made maybe $15 million total worldwide, bombed like hell, and it hurts the prospects of a lot of theaters because basically it made them open, which meant that they have to pay rent now. And
so you're telling me that what's his name, the director, Chris Nolan, has killed the theaters?
I'm telling you, not that he did, that his. Well, no, actually, no. If he was probably willing to not let it go out when it was supposed to go out, it probably wouldn't have killed the theaters. But now it might, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't think drive-ins are going to open fast enough to accommodate that. So hopefully some can still survive. But Tenant's embarrassment, and because of Tenet, we should mention that Candyman's been shelved indefinitely. Probably will come out next year. It was pushed back again because they don't want to put it out on streaming, because obviously. So
I wish
they're
they
going to
would.
hold off on it. It would be great. You're going to say something?
We can't do the $20 voodoo
They
deal.
should, but they don't think. Okay, so briefly, I watched a video about this recently. When you buy a ticket at a movie theater, about half the profit actually goes to the theater. The other half goes to the movie company. Most of what makes the movie theater money is the concessions. That's kind of why it's all multiple floor theater, has multiple concession stands. The way to get up there is all really freaking confusing because it makes you stand there longer, so you might buy stuff.
Because you have to walk past every concession stand.
Exactly. The movie theaters need the money from the concession stand. The film companies will get the money if they put it out on streaming, but they know they won't get as much as if they put it out in theaters and put it on streaming. So they're just removing the streaming option altogether for most things.
And wasn't they charging $30 on these movies that they were streaming?
Yes,
which to me that's outrageous. That's
them desperately trying to
gout if everybody. Candyman went up right now and they're like $20 to rent it, $30 to own it on digital, I would probably straight up pay the $30 to own it on digital, and then buy the 4K when it came out.
And that's and that'll happen on certain movies. You're not going to do it with everything, but there's reasons.
$60. You're spending possibly $60 on Candyman.
They are.
Well, I don't have to get the disc right away when it comes out, but
exactly.
But I want to that's like my fucking at this point. That's the most anticipated film.
Well, I hate to burst bubbles, but apparently from the screening, I heard it didn't go very well when they did screen it. Didn't they screen it somewhere?
Not to my knowledge, and not to mention I haven't heard any bad screenings from it whatsoever.
Not to mention really on Reddit. On Reddit.
I also really don't care about that because bad screenings have happened for hundreds of movies, and whatever happens, happens.
Well, the screening of Halloween's what got the ending changed, before it came out.
And the ending's in some ways kind of stupid, but anyway, they are going to put Antebellum on streaming. Antebellum is not being held back. It's going to go on streaming soon. I don't remember exactly when, but yeah.
Well, I saw a trailer for that the other day. It looks all right.
It's the movie about the person waking up and suddenly the black woman wakes up suddenly back in slave times.
It stars Janelle Monáe.
Yeah, Janelle Monáe. It looks interesting. I mean, the last time I heard about it was when they were saying they were going to push it back, and Bloody Disgusting decided to in no way, shape, or form mention what it was about. And just say that they were pushing it back. Criterion announced their December slate. The big news part of that is that they're doing restoration Blu-ray of Crash. I know you're waiting for the Arrow one.
4K or bust.
Severin announced their releases for October today. Luigi Kashi's Black Cat, a.k.a. Demon 6. Patrick Still Lives, the sort of sequel to Patrick that is not at all a sequel to Patrick, according to what their description says. And a movie called Shock Treatment that is not the movie that is a sort of sequel to Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's a completely different movie from France.
Severin also said they have very strict restrictions with Black Cat, and there will be no Demons 6 artwork or title. Reverse artwork, nothing like that.
Was apparently an Italian title. But so it doesn't surprise me. I mean,
so was Jaws 5, but
here's the thing. You say that the restriction is so severe. It's the first time I can think of in quite some time that Severin said, "Here's our new release. There is not a slipcover version of any kind. Period. It's just the movie."
This Black Cat movie was called Demon 6.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. Vinegar Syndrome announced a bunch of stuff for their October. It includes such things as Whodunit, aka Island of Blood, a 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray of Dial Code Santa Claus, aka 3615 Code Père Noël, which is that movie that everyone says is kind of like Home Alone if Home Alone was more psychotic, basically. Rest in Pieces.
It looks post-apocalyptic.
Yeah. Rest in Pieces, Cemetery of Terror, and Necromancer. So Rest in Pieces is something a lot of people have. It's one of those kind of hasn't really been on DVD, but people remember it from back when. Like you mentioned, the person you work with was rented out all the time. It's one of those things that always got bootlegged. I know, so it coming out's a pretty good thing. And I know, like I said, people do know about that 3615 Code Père Noël movie. It's apparently pretty crazy.
I've never even heard of it.
And then the only other thing I wanted to talk about, we were talking about convention days. For some weird reason, Mad Monster Party decided that there's no more pandemic and COVID is over. And I mean, to be fair, they're not actually saying that because they're putting in hand sanitizer stations and they're going to have the aisles of their vendor room be one way, and their photo ops that they're offering are going to be having clear plastic Lexan between the people so that people don't, come in contact, and that won't show up in your picture apparently. But they are holding a convention in October in Glendale, Arizona. Arizona is not the best place for COVID right now. They've announced Carl Weathers, they've announced Jamie Kennedy, they've announced Felissa Rose, they've announced Bill Moseley, and they've announced Kane Hodder. And they're apparently going to do a very limited ticket run. They've already told people to not be fooled by fake tickets. It's kind of the thing of, if you're going to do the convention or a convention, doing it with a limited amount of people with some degree of restrictions is the smart way to do it. Doing it at all is not, basically. But it probably won't be as bad as the other time someone tried to do a horror convention in the last few months. But can we all just not do conventions for the rest of the year, please? Just stop. Admit it. You're not going to have a convention this year.
I don't know if Days of the Dead, they canceled the Atlanta one they're supposed to have this fall.
Probably.
Because there was like the Soska sisters and stuff supposed to come to it.
They probably did.
Yeah. Let's see.
Everybody ask what that reaction was for.
Okay, yeah.
Soska sisters.
It got canceled, and now everybody that was scheduled for it is now scheduled for February 26th through 28th of next year. Which Danny Trejo is going to be there now. Dee Wallace.
Always good for Danny Trejo.
Soska sisters are going to be there. And whoever played I Dream of Jeannie, Barbara
Eden.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I don't think it ever happened.
Most recent thing says they're going to do non-contact temperature scanners and thermometers to take your temperature at arrival, ensure you don't have a high temperature scan required for entry. Masks required at the show covering nose and mouth except in designated areas when eating and drinking. Show has same-day return entry so you can step outside and re-enter throughout the day of your ticket. Masks can be removed during pro photo ops, which will have a clear glass divider between fan and celeb and be wiped down between photo ops. The edge of the glass will face the camera. Photo ops are green screen, so it won't be visible. Aisles will be extra wide and one directional. Exhibitors are socially distanced. Hand sanitizing stations throughout the convention floor. And a limited amount of tickets will be made available for sale soon that haven't actually happened yet. There is no VIP, or as they call them, RIP tickets, both because that would be dumb and also kind of a weird thing to do in this time frame, naming-wise. But, yeah, I mean...
Yeah.
I mean, if they're going to do it, this is a way to do it, but you really shouldn't be doing it. And that is basically the news.
Well, we also missed Serbian films coming out to Blu-ray, collector's edition Blu-ray in January from Unearthed Films.
Yep.
Should have documentary and all that good stuff with it.
Great.
One and done.
One and done.
One and done.
One and done. You can watch the DVD version, which is got all the worst stuff cut out of it.
No, I haven't.
There's like 5 versions of that they put out in America, man.
I have the actual uncut DVD of it. But
I've got the one that comes in cardboard.
You got the one that's worth money.
I have it just to have it. How much money is that worth?
I don't know. I sold mine for $60 about 5 years ago. So
I'd sell mine for $60 now. Fuck.
I can check for you since I'm presently selling something on eBay myself.
But yeah, some dude gave me $60 for that a few years back, and I don't miss it. It's one of those things where if you take the shocking stuff out of it, it's kind of subpar.
Apparently, it's rare enough. It ain't even showing up on eBay right now for me.
Yeah,
like the movie itself, if I just search Serbian film, I get nothing.
I bet you get you a cool 100 out of that, Mr. Williams.
I see one that says a Serbian film DVD, brand new, $50 plus free shipping. That's
black.
Well, there's no picture.
Oh, that's probably the one I've got, because there's one on cardboard, and then they come out with just one in a standard case, but everybody wants the one on a piece of cardboard.
SRDJ. I'm just trying to find out if I can even get an idea of how much it's selling for.
Well, that company that put it out, they're not in business anymore. It was I don't remember anything else they put out, but they put out like just a couple of things went out of business.
That's not unheard of lately.
It ain't as bad as the company that put out Alien 2, Alien on Earth.
Midnight Releasing's still around. They just aren't releasing shit. That's all.
That company's still around? Because I thought they
still have a Facebook. They still have a Facebook presence.
From what I heard, they made an ungodly amount of Alien 2 Blu-rays because they thought they were just going to sell all of them, and they never could sell all of them.
They weren't good at what they did. Really? No exact matches, huh?
You could always flip that Deadly Spawn 2 Blu-ray you got there. Beard. I think that goes for a little bit of money.
I'm not kidding. I'm not seeing any even selling of them. Like in the last year.
No, I don't know if you're allowed. Are you allowed to sell Serbian film on eBay?
That would probably be the reason why, because I'm not seeing shit right now.
Well, I'm pretty sure maybe it got the old kibosh on it there.
I have no idea.
I can try an alternative way of checking too.
On Amazon?
No, just Googling it and clicking shopping.
Well, the cut version of the DVD is currently selling for $94 on Macari.
Yeah, I see that. Yep.
And that's the record one. The one that I've got is currently...
that the one that says $9.88 used?
No. The one I got ain't listed on Amazon right now. But see, this is the one which I don't know if you can see, but that's the one. Yeah, it ain't gonna work. But that's the one I've got. It's black, and Amazon don't have a price on it. On that,
a lot of people are doing just posters at the moment, but yeah, I mean,
well,
with how annoyed everybody got over how the transfer on the Devil was molded and stuff, one hopes that that was for Massacre anyway. On Earth, I think, is probably better than that on their thing, so it'll probably be the uncut one and things like that.
Oh, it's supposed to have extra footage and stuff in it, apparently. Because it sounded like the Unearthed guy just bought up everything possible from that movie, including props and everything.
Gee, why doesn't he just release it in a set with Philosophy of a Knife and give you 12 hours of footage for a day?
Because he lost the rights to Philosophy of a Knife, and
I know, but I'm just saying.
That's your video now has.
I know. I'm just saying things that don't need to be that friggin' long for 500, Alex.
Yeah, our buddy over there, he could give me his copy of Philosophy of a Knife. It'd be mighty nice of him.
I'll give it to you.
Yeah, for how much money?
It just depends on what the going rate is.
Yeah, the going rate. It's going down every day.
Probably is, actually. So. Like, that's the one thing, is the thing I'm selling, you guys know what it is. I learned why it will never, ever, ever go down in price, which is all of the rights to that set of movies, the movies themselves, are owned by Russ Meyer's estate. So the only way you can get them is by buying them from his website, where I actually calculated this. If you pay for every single DVD he sells and all of those movies, it would cost you $600. So this would explain why most people are selling the dang thing for $300 on eBay.
Yep, that would explain. It's half off.
Yep, basically.
Yeah.
$100, $1,000. No one's going to buy that.
$1,000 for what?
Philosophy of the Knife.
Why, really?
Nobody's paying for that.
Yeah, so if you want, look for completed and sold and see what actually is selling, man.
Why would somebody even try that?
Like, say what you will about mine, at least someone definitively bought one of what I'm selling for over $220 in the last, 3 months.
I don't know. I mean, it's like, the movie ain't that good, but it's one of them things where it just gets talked about and it's hardly available, so therefore it automatically seems like a good idea for people to go out and pay a lot of money for it. Which, old Beard over here has a bunch of the Unearthed titles that are currently sought after, like Cannibal and stuff like that. So you could do a package deal on all of them and probably make a nice little chunk of change.
Chuck, you just tell me how much you want to pay for that, and I'll tell you if it'll do okay. We'll barter.
Do you have
no trades?
No trades. So do you have an uncut version of Murder Set Pieces?
I don't know. Maybe.
Because I have 2 versions of that's both edited. And apparently I hear that's like a completely different movie if you get the uncut version of it. Because I don't know
what version of it I have, but I know I've never watched it.
Oh. Well, apparently the uncut version has like 9/11 stuff and all that in it, plus a lot of gore. I don't know what 9/11 has to do with the plot, but apparently it's got 9/11 stuff in it, which may be actual footage from. I'm sure it is actual footage, but I'm not sure the contents of the actual footage from 9/11. But that's one of the movies, man. That's one of the movies everybody wants, and you've got it. You've never even watched it.
It's true.
I had to get another copy of the edited version because I bought one for $1 at a video store that went out of business a couple of years back, and it completely skips through the third act. It starts getting good, then skips to the credits. So I had to go get another copy of it. Which, what I seen of it wasn't bad. Because there's like one scene where the dude's like a crazy guy. He walks into a video store or porn shop and he asks Tony Todd, who's actually the clerk at the counter there, if he has Nutbag, which is supposed to be like a snuff movie, and then the director ended up like either before or after had actually made a movie called Nutbag, which is from Master Video put that out, and it's interesting. It's shot on video. It's real bloody. I recommend you checking these out if you haven't. Maybe one week on the show we do a Murder Set Pieces and / Nutbag double feature.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna say no on that.
we gotta do these underground stuff now. We gotta stick to our roots. Used to do 8 movies. He used to do 8 movies a week. Okay.
5 movies a week, and that was only 8 movies on very specific occasions, and when we also both didn't have lives.
Yeah. I still don't have one for the most part.
True.
We did not say that, Chuck. You did.
Yeah. Hey, I want y'all to know. Don't ever say that Chuck Connor don't put this show above other priorities, because I could have a Wednesday wrestling booking every week that I won't take because I do a podcast.
And we appreciate it for you, though.
There you go.
Thanks, Chuck.
There you go. No more hashtags.
Noel. Not that big of a thanks.
Okay.
Hashtags are still coming.
It's almost worth giving me a copy of Philosophy of the Night.
I could probably burn a copy of that for you.
I would like to see it, so I mean, I would settle for that. Plus, you could send it with your copy of Crossbear you're supposed to give me.
I need to find that. It's somewhere around here. Speaking of things,
I did a deal with him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Say, don't show some of the contents of the deal we did. But look at that. It's not autographed though. It's supposed to be autographed.
Not even autographed for his best friend.
Do you know why his version isn't autographed? Because I accidentally sent him my personal copy of it. So he didn't just get any copy. He got my copy. All right.
Eventually, who knows? Maybe we'll get around to it. But since I know for a fact that at least 2 people I'm looking at right now both have copies of Shivers on Blu-ray, mine's due on Friday.
It's nice.
We'll get to that. I'm just freaking. That's one of those things. We're talking about Necronomicon. When they announced they were doing Shivers, I was like, "Holy shit! When the hell did someone last?" I know, right?
That is one of my favorite Cronenberg movies ever.
It's really good. It's really, really good.
And I just hope it's not the exact same transfer that was on the old Australian DVD or Blu-ray that I got. Which was good, but let's get a new one.
Features?
I didn't look, but
I read they're new. I think supposed to be new. Good.
I have like it's like everybody's losing their mind. Well, they losing their mind, but everybody's happy because Dead Zone's on Blu-ray and that new Stephen King set that Paramount put out. You know, I've had Dead Zone and Shivers and like a bunch of like Cronenberg stuff on an Australian set for years. Had Rabid before Scream Factory ever put it out on Blu-ray, and it looked great, like Australia. And most time Australian stuff plays in American players. So if you ever are looking for something, see if it's in Australia.
I think Australia's region A.
Some ain't.
Explain it.
Some isn't. Like they're usually supposed to be wink wink nudge nudge region B, but they seem like they always forget to hit that lock on it.
Is that why the PS5 is coming out 2 weeks early and including places like Australia besides America, versus when it comes out in other places?
Probably. So
you did.
I guess
need to sell some movies so I can buy a PS5.
Yeah. Hey, start a GoFundMe for this PS5. I've seen GoFundMes for worse things.
You guys go have fun with that.
Yeah. So what's next week? What are we doing next week?
Well, next week is Chris. You know what it is.
Amityville Horror Retrospective.
It begins.
It will officially be October.
Yep. See, while this will be weeks down the road for you guys, this has just been a matter of days for us.
And it should be pointed out, I don't think we mentioned it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is this not episode 20?
This is episode 20.
Yes. Yep. This is episode 20. 20 episodes.
And as this is online, which number is online? It went up today or yesterday? Which number was that?
17 is going up tomorrow.
Ooh, wow.
Wow, fast.
We're turning them out.
Doubling up.
I still don't have them audio versions of the show because somebody didn't send them to me.
I think he's easy.
Did you say you work? Is that what you said?
I work.
Yes.
And my kids and my children are literally started school, so.
Okay,
and it's a little interesting.
I don't remember hearing that last show. He was like, "I can send them to you real easy." I don't remember.
I can make them. I can make them really easily.
Doesn't
mean I have the time to do it.
Right.
Okay.
Do you know how long I've been watching Video Nasty season volume 2? Just because I can watch it doesn't mean I have the time to watch it.
Yeah. See, like I keep putting off everything. I got a stack of movies this thick. I need to be writing reviews for, doing video reviews for, and I just don't feel the need to do it right now.
Well, we've already established how you do that, Chuck. You just read the back of the box.
Yeah. All right.
And then you get 15,000 views.
Real quick before we end this episode, real quick. If you don't know it already, if the new Alfred Hitchcock 4K set, they're having to do a replacement disc on Psycho because apparently the audio is screwed up on one of it.
I always wonder about that because you'd think they'd catch that.
Something's wrong with the Mondo track, apparently.
Like I keep hearing about that on like big releases, you know.
Yeah, well, Scream Factory is the king of screwing up audio. Look at him; he's checking his watch. Time to wind it down. It's time.
That was Dance Commander.
Oh yeah, there it is. It is Dance Commander. Okay, well, I guess going by the clock on the wall, it's time to sign off on this exciting episode of Exorcast, episode 20.
Longest episode to date.
Wow.
We promise it's most likely that next week won't be this long because we probably won't get sidetracked talking about H.P. Lovecraft and Richard Stanley.
This is true.
And the curse.
Yeah, definitely that too.
Yeah, or that. Okay, so I officially have to go through some of these boxes and find that.
Just so you can tell me you don't like it again like you did 5 years ago when you first watched it.
Absolutely.
All right.
So come back next week. It'll be October. We'll be talking about the Amityville Horror, and eventually it'll
be shorter.
Yeah, it will be shorter, and we'll eventually get to Amityville Vibrator.
Eventually is a very eventually. I'm gonna say
down the road. We'll work on this. We got it, guys. Everyone listening, you're watching. It's going to happen. So yeah,
don't expect me to ever mention it again after this video. So that's all I'm going to say on that.
Thanks for watching and all that fun shit. Like it, share, subscribe. Tell Chuck to shut up. And
our cast compels you.
That too. We'll see you in October.